Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Wednesday night. The Montreal Canadiens practiced earlier today. Martin St. Louis told members of the media that Jakub Dobeš will get the start and goal for the Canadiens tomorrow night versus the Dallas Stars, but it has nothing to do with Samuel Montembeault's performance last night in a 5-1 loss versus the Kings. St. Louis says it was a planned start for Jakub Dobeš. It has me thinking, does that mean that there's a planned start for Saturday night versus the Bruins as well? And does that plan change depending on Dobeš's performance tomorrow night versus the Dallas Stars? The Canadiens had a good day of practice. They definitely did not have a good game last night. We'll discuss all that's going on with the Canadiens, what's right and what's wrong. They lost to a heavier team last night, and guess what? They've lost 5 times this season to teams that are heavier than them. Is that a recurring theme, or is that just a coincidence? We'll discuss. Later on, Pierre LeBrun, also of TSN, will join me. Yesterday, he told RDS that based on what he's hearing, if Hockey USA would have chosen their team for the 2026 Olympics yesterday, that Cole Caufield was close, but he was on the outside and would not be on that team. We'll discuss that. The Canadiens' pursuit still of a second-line centerman. Tage Thompson's name has come up. The Buffalo Sabres say he's not available. I'm not surprised by that because Pierre LeBrun told us the same thing a couple of weeks ago, but my question to him is going to be, any way the Canadiens can change their mind? And if so, what will it take? And if not now, what are we looking at? We'll discuss all of this and much more. It's the Sick Podcast. The Cavalleros are master control. I'm Marinaro, coming up in a couple of minutes with Craig Button and Pierre LeBrun. Stay with me.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the fall.
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they work the young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, thanks for watching, everyone, on this Wednesday. Of course, the Sick Podcast goes weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern. And once again, thank you for being there on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Very much appreciate it. We'll talk to you about all of our sponsors. I'll tell you that Craig Button is standing by, and together he and I, as well as Pierre LeBrun a little bit later on, will bring you tonight's edition of the Sick Podcast. Special thanks to some of our sponsors, brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, a leading asset-light 3PL that's driven to be different, from cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico to coast-to-coast shipping in both Canada and the United States. Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, powered by tech that delivers smarter logistics. If you need a real partner in transportation, contact the team at sick@shipenergy.com and see how Energy Transportation Group, is changing the freight game. Once again, also want to thank Bittt Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager, refreshing, thirst-quenching beer. Perfect for those cool fall days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, and 4% ABV per can. Available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. Who do you got tomorrow night between the Canadiens and the Dallas Stars? Go all the way with Betway. Get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. Want to talk to you about a contest that we have going on. Point S and GT Radial are offering you the chance to win a new set of GT Radial winter tires plus free installation at a Point S garage, a total value of $1,000. Listen carefully, folks. In order to participate, I know that everyone wants to win this contest. All you got to do is go to Instagram, go to the Sick Podcast Instagram page, like and comment on the pin post, follow the Sick Podcast, and follow Point S on Instagram. Your contest ends on November 16. Point S is your trusted garage for complete vehicle care. Without further ado, let's get to Craig Button.
Craig Button, presented by Souvlaki Authentique. Bring the taste of Greece home.
All right, Craig Button, how are you?
I am fantastic, Tony. How are you doing? I know there's some snow in Montreal, so how does that feel?
There is a lot of snow in Montreal, as a matter of fact. Look, we saw the images on Sunday night. There was that Canadian Premier League final game being played between Ottawa Atletico and Cavalry FC, and we saw how much snow was on the ground for that, and we knew that Ottawa was just a couple of hours away, and it was on our way to Montreal, and it happened late Sunday night, early Monday, on Monday, and then again, of course, yesterday on Tuesday. So we've had quite a bit, but I think the worst is past.
Yeah, well, it's a reminder that winter is on its way.
It definitely is a reminder. And every time I speak to Craig Button, it's a reminder that he's brought to you by Souvlaki Authentique. Montreal knows good food. Nothing hits like Souvlaki Authentique, and I mean nothing. Maybe only a storm, but this is a lot more pleasurable. Every stick of Souvlaki is marinated fresh. Every pita is packed with flavor. And the potatoes, twice fried and finished with that signature lemon sauce. It's comfort food. It's Greek style. It's family run. It's flavor packed and proud to serve Montreal. Go to souvlakiauthentique.com to find your nearest location and bring the taste of Greece home. Okay. So, Craig, the Canadiens lost a game rather convincingly last night, to the hands of the Los Angeles Kings. It was one of those so it was an off night for the Montreal Canadiens, and it was an on night for Los Angeles Kings. What did you make of the game, Craig?
Well, Montreal started well. I mean, they ended up with the lead and they were playing, but as you pointed out, they didn't play well. And when you have too many players not playing to their level of capability, you're going to run into challenges. And when a team is ready to challenge you, like the LA Kings were, I mean, the Kings play a fast game with respect to putting pressure on you. And when they do put pressure on you, they have some weight behind it. And so now they're leaning in on you. Montreal didn't move the puck quick enough. I didn't think they moved into space quick enough. And now you're just playing into the teeth and the strength of the LA Kings. And that's what the Montreal Canadiens found in that game. And I know that we talk about, the LA Kings are a heavy team. Does that pose a problem for the Montreal Canadiens? Well, it'll always pose a problem for you. I don't care who you're playing when you're not quick enough, fast enough to space and understanding that the puck moves quicker than you and you got to beat opponents to that space. The Montreal Canadiens didn't do that against the LA Kings, so they got beat. We can discuss further whether Montreal needs a little bit more weight deeper down their lineup, a little bit more size. But I don't care who they were playing last night. They weren't quick enough or fast enough, detailed enough to beat just about anybody in this league.
Well, listen, I saw last night that Toronto is the heaviest team in the National Hockey League, tied with Boston. The Kings are just a couple of pounds behind them. They're at number 3. The Rangers are at number 6. The Devils are at number 12. The Oilers are at number 15, which prompted a tweet of mine saying that heavy teams give the Montreal Canadiens a problem. I spoke with Anthony Martineau earlier this morning of TVA Sports, and he said, well, yeah, heavy teams give the Montreal Canadiens a problem, but it's also heavy teams that are physical, that are experienced, that clog the neutral zone, that take away the middle of the ice. So I think we have to add to that as well. Teams that do well in the face-off circle, like the Los Angeles Kings usually do. But yeah, listen, everyone knows the Canadiens are going to have to they're not perfect. They're not a finished product, right? They're still young and they're 3.5, 4 years into their rebuild. They have to get heavier. They have to get nastier. And if the heaviness and the nastiness that they will eventually add also comes with hockey talent, then they're going to be on their way.
Yeah, I mean, I use the Detroit Red Wings as a great example of this idea that skill isn't going to prevail. Now, the Red Wings, they were in a period of time where they were really good, and they got knocked out of the playoffs at different points in time. And then they found a way to not only win, but to win being true to what they were. And they were a very skilled team. They were a hard team. They weren't a nasty team. They were a hard team. And hard in this way, you were not going to push the Red Wings out of a game. They were going to use their skill. They were going to stand up to the challenges. And yes, they had Marty Lapointe. And yes, they had Chris Draper and Kirk Maltby. But
Darren McCarty.
Nasty players. They were hard players to play against.
Correct.
Nick Lidstrom was hard to play against because you couldn't forecheck them. And I think that for the Montreal Canadiens, you look at where they're at. It's about understanding that when you get into a game like they were in against the LA Kings, it's just about harder for me means harder to space, harder in the battles for the pucks. If you're going to try to battle, let's just say you're 20 pounds lighter than the guy you're battling for the puck and you're late to the puck, you're not going to win the puck. But if you're first to the puck, you're going to have an advantage to win the puck because big guys can't just tackle you and throw you down to the ice. So I think that the game against the LA Kings is a good opportunity for the Montreal Canadiens to learn that, hey, if we're not skating and we're not getting to the puck and we're not getting to the spots on the ice before our opponent, I said it earlier, Tony, I don't care who they played on Tuesday night. They were going to have a tough time beating any team in the National Hockey League playing like that. They got away from their game. They got and quite frankly, the LA Kings showed, hey, you want to get away from your game? If I'm Marty St. Louis on this Wednesday, I'm going, listen, You can read the narratives about heavy or not heavy or how hard or nasty. Here's what we didn't do. And if we don't do this, we're not going to have success. I thought that was a real element of that game for the Montreal Canadiens. And now it gives them an opportunity to learn and grow.
Craig, it was a difficult night for the Canadiens yesterday. Once again, I'm not going to pin this one on anybody. I thought there were only 2 Montreal Canadiens that actually played well last night from start of the game to finish, because Lane Hudson had a fantastic first period, but he had a second and third period, I think, to forget. The only 2 Montreal Canadiens that I really liked last night were Josh Anderson and Jake Evans, who are supposed to be forwards number 10 and number 11. And if they're your 2 best players and your 2 only players, I like Suzuki in the face-off circle, but not more than that. But I do want to get to Samuel Montembeault, because listen, hockey teams, the goalie is always a point of emphasis, always a subject of discussion, especially here in Montreal. We know that it's been a young season thus far of ups and downs for Montembeault, as many downs as ups, and maybe the worst downs have been better than the best ups. He got an opportunity on Saturday night after giving up a goal in the first or second shot. Again, he got back to himself, and as the game went on, he looked to gain more and more confidence. The body language was better. That look in his eyes was back. Last night, like 90% of his team, it was difficult again, especially on, a goal that was probably broke the Canadiens back and made it 3-1 for the Los Angeles Kings, a goal by Fiala, where he kind of like the puck was coming to him, and instead of just, covering up the puck, he kind of just directed it to Fiala, kind of got an assist on the play, and Fiala put an empty net. Marty St. Louis last night at the end of the press conference, during his press conference, said, you know what, I'm not concerned whatsoever about Sam. I don't expect him to say that he would have been. He's not going to do that either. Earlier today, we don't have the audio. We had a few difficulties with audio today, but we do have some tweets that will show you what was said. Marty St. Louis told the members of the media today that Jakub Dobeš will play tomorrow, but said it's got nothing to do with Samuel Montembeault's performance. It was a planned start for Dobeš tomorrow. So before we get to that, your thoughts on Montembeault's performance last night, his performance thus far this season, and by the way, last night in front of Don Sweeney, Julien Brisebois, and Hockey Canada brass.
Okay, so let me just rewind real quick to your first comment about Josh Anderson and Jake Evans, being the only players that you thought were, right there. That's 16 skaters short of being able to compete at the NHL level. And so when you put it in those terms, they weren't going to beat anybody in the National Hockey League with that with that many players short of playing to their capabilities.
Not last night.
So we'll move past that. Samuel Montembeault has had a significant struggle this year in the Montreal Canadiens net. Full stop. Nobody can debate it. Samuel Montembeault won't debate it. Marty St. Louis might not say it, but he can't debate it either. Nobody can. It's been a full-on struggle for Sam Montembeault in the net. And with that, you have a coach right now who is trying to work with him. You have a goaltending coach that is trying to work with Sam and trying to get him back to form. You talk about Saturday night and, falling behind and then really finding a way to get Montreal a point was significant. And it was, and certainly you like the ability of Sam to battle back into the game and give his team a chance. Now, that being said, it has to be a significant concern for the Montreal Canadiens right now with Sam's play, because we can talk about his capability. We can talk about knowing that he can be better. Marty St. Louis has worries about Sam Montembeault. You're right. He's not going to say it publicly. They're trying to find a way to get Sam's confidence up and his game up. But it's a significant concern. And there's no other way to put it. It's a significant concern, and it should be a significant concern. Samuel Montembeault right now is not going to be on Team Canada. And I don't care if Julien Brisebois and Don Sweeney were in the building or not. I mean, the numbers, the play dictate that he will not be a member continuing to play this way. So can he find a way? And I think Marty is cognizant of that and trying to help Sam get back to form to give him a chance to be on the Olympic team. Because Marty knows the disappointment of not being on the team. He knows he wants to have Sam be part of that. I get that. But right now, he's not a member of the team. Team being picked today, Sam's not in. Sam's just like X, out. Let's go on to the next conversation.
Yeah.
So, but the Montreal Canadiens can't X Sam Montembeault. They need Sam Montembeault playing at a higher level. And the ball, like he's near the bottom of the league in terms of goaltenders. And when we talk about starting goaltenders, so-called starting goaltenders, there might not be a worse starting goaltender in the league right now than Sam Montembeault, numbers-wise.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a yikes. That's a yikes.
You came out with a list yesterday, your preliminary list, along with your colleague Mike Johnson of TSN. I believe it's yesterday, right, for Hockey
Yes,
Canada?
it was, yeah.
Okay, let's bring it up if we can. Do we have it? Fantastic. All right. Nathan McKinnon at center with Sam Reinhart at right wing. Sidney Crosby, who's a center, playing left wing. Of course, everyone knows about the relationship between McKinnon and Crosby. They're like bread and butter. Fantastic. I like the choice there. You have Connor McDavid
Let me just say something right here, okay, too?
Yes.
So Sidney playing left wing, he did it at the Four Nations. It's a nice fit for Nathan McKinnon. But let me be very clear here, okay? Nathan McKinnon is the number one center on Team Canada right now, not Connor McDavid.
He's been on fire the last 3 or 4 games, especially.
Understand how we position that line as the number one line and McKinnon is the number one center. I want to make that very clear here.
By that logic, and I would have no problem with this statement, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but many believe that right now, today, November 12th, 2025, that Nathan McKinnon is the most complete hockey player in the world.
He's the best player in the world right now. Nobody can make an argument against that. You're not putting words in my mouth. In fact, if I didn't say that, somebody would ask, well, where are the words, Craig? Because you're not ready to speak. I'm ready to speak that. McKinnon's unstoppable right now.
You're right. He plays for, just to play devil's advocate here for the sake of conversation, right? We can have a nice discussion with this, right? Because it's one of those great debates. He plays with a deep, well-oiled machine, and he probably plays with a defenseman that a lot of people also consider one of the best players in the world. That obviously
no question. Yeah, Cale McCarr, there he is. I mean, okay, we can talk about how it helps. It doesn't change the narrative. The narrative is simple. Nathan McKinnon right now is the best player on the planet.
You have Connor McDavid, who's centering the second line with his teammate Zach Hyman on the left and Braden Point on the right. And Braden Point was one of the early selections, of course, to the roster. You have Nick Suzuki, who's playing center with Mitch Marner on the right and Macklin Celebrini on the left. You have Bo Horvat, who's playing center with Tom Wilson on the right and Brad Marchand on the left. And you have Scheifele and Hagel. And, of course, the big name missing. There's many missing because Canada's got an abundance of players. But Connor Bedard, your thoughts?
Well, let me go back because I don't think we can gloss over Nick Suzuki. So Sidney Crosby playing up on the wing and showing that capability and being a really good fit with McKinnon. You talk about bread and butter. That allows Nick Suzuki to be, in my view, the clear-cut number 3 center. And Macklin Celebrini playing on the left wing. Mike Johnson made a great case that he's smart. He can play over there. He's a natural center, and he's been phenomenal there. And we know how good Mitch Marner's been. So now to your question about Connor Bedard. So I asked the question, and we asked it yesterday. Who does Connor Bedard unseat? We're building a team. We're not picking the top scorers in the league. That would be easy. Anybody could do that. Who does Connor Bedard unseat on this team? And Connor Bedard, as good a start as he had, and I'm a huge fan of Connor Bedard. He's terrific. He's untested. He's untested compared to these guys. So just tell me, who does he unseat on this team? So everybody tells me he should be on the team. Who do you want off?
So some will say Tom Wilson, but I totally understand where you're coming from because you stress team, which means you believe in rules. You believe in different kind of players. You believe in guys having to be the F1 to go in. You believe in guys on the forecheck. You believe in guys giving the body, sacrificing the body, serving as deterrents to the Kachuk brothers with Team USA, for example. And that's why Wilson and a guy like Hagel would probably be there as well. So I understand where you're coming from. I get it.
Tom Wilson's won a Stanley Cup. Brandon Hagel has been a top player. Brandon Hagel's been a point-a-game player over the last 2 seasons. Tom Wilson is a menace. Tom Wilson does things that Connor Bedard can't do. Sam Reinhart, Braden Point, and Mitch Marner are better players than Connor Bedard, and they're tested. So you want Connor Bedard? If you want him as your 14th forward, go ahead, put him on. I don't have a problem. But nobody asks why Anthony Cirelli isn't on the team or Sam Bennett, the MVP, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, isn't on the team. Yeah, Connor Bedard's having a fantastic year. He's a fantastic young player. He's not on my team right now. And Mike Johnson and I are going to leave it open for debate. We're going to leave it open for discussion that he might end up there. But who does he unseat? And for us, he doesn't unseat anybody.
Yeah. Those are interesting decisions. Once again, Anthony Cirelli has been playing for John Cooper for quite some time. We know that John Cooper talked to us about his admiration for Sam Bennett last year, where he said he went up to Bennett and said, look, you're not going to be starting game 1. Bennett told him, I'm just happy to be part of the team. And John Cooper really loved that. And Sam Bennett, you correct me if I'm wrong, but he, Mitch Marner, and Jordan Binnington were probably Canada's 3 best players in the final game in which they beat the United States. Devin Taves and Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey and Shea Theodore, Travis Sanheim and Colton Parayko, Thomas Harley and Brandon Montour, Binnington, Thompson, and Kemper, who obviously helped his case last night with a win over the Montreal Canadiens in front of that Canadian brass. But I see that Aiden Hill is not there.
No, doesn't deserve to be there. He's hurt. He hasn't played very well.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't, people have asked me, wouldn't it be great to have Connor Bedard, the future? The future is Milan Olympics. I'm not building for 2030. We're looking at a team that can go out and play there. And
cross that bridge when we get there, yeah.
Montembeault, I don't care what you did in February. It was great. They won. And Jordan Binnington gets the grace of having won the 4 Nations. John Cooper said post-4 Nations, he was my guy all the way through, and Jordan Binnington was really good. So he's deserved the grace to be on the team. His play has not earned him a spot on the team. His previous accomplishments have. Keep in mind, Tony, in 2002, the starting goalie was not the guy that was the finishing goalie. In 2010, the starting goalie was not the finishing goalie. Curtis Joseph started in 2002. Brodeur finished it up. 2010, Brodeur started, Luongo finished it up. Let's understand here that Jordan Binnington has to go in, understand the same thing. He gets the grace to starting. He does not get the grace, unless he plays well, of being able to continue through.
Craig Bunn will be with us for another 5 or 6 minutes before I let him go, and Pierre LeBrun will make his way into the Sick Podcast. As if watching hockey wasn't thrilling enough, now every goal means more action on the felt. Before the puck drops, every poker table is randomly assigned a player from Montreal, and when your player scores, boom, Playground splashes the next pot with up to $200 in chips. Catch every game on Playground's big screens all around the room, so you'll never miss a goal, a play, or a splash pot. Sounds pretty amazing. All right, okay. I want to talk to you about Jakub Dobeš. Last week, when he had his hiccup with the Montreal Canadiens in New Jersey versus the Devils, they led a 3-2 lead in the third period, evaporate. The Devils tied it up with, I think, 67 seconds left in regulation to win it in overtime. Jakub Dobeš had a little bit of a meltdown. He let the emotions get the better of him, and he got choked up in the locker room after the game. Said he thought the loss was on him, took all responsibility. Said that his 6-0 start before that wasn't good enough. The same thing had happened in New Jersey. We have some quotes here that before we get to actually one more quote on Montembeault. Montembeault going through these struggles. Montembeault says he has to put all the outside noise and nasty comments on social media behind him and just focus on himself and his game. It sounds like this is a player that was aware of what was said about him on social media, Craig.
Well, so what do you control, right? What do you control? You control how you play. You control how you prepare. You control how you find ways to fix the things that are not allowing you to be the best player. Like, again, like outside noise, if you're going to be impacted by outside noise, like there's your first problem. If you're going to be impacted by what's said on social media, there's another problem. So why are you focusing in on problems that are out of your control? That's the first thing I would say to Sam Montembeault. Stop it. Well, listen, I don't care what people what they're saying. I mean, people say nasty or thing. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that kind of thing. But control the things you do. Tony, this is my PSA, okay? Public service announcement to all players, all people, all young people, especially on social media. If somebody came up to your front door, rang the doorbell, and you opened it up, and they started screaming things at you, how you're no good, you're not this, you're bummed, whatever, right? What would you do? I asked that question. You know what people do? I close the door, right? And be done with it, right? Okay? Well, that's what you got to do to your social media if that's impacted. You close your social media door, and you have control over it. I don't want to hear anybody tell me you do have control over that. So if you're losing control of your game because you're not taking control of your social media, that's on Sam Montembeault and everybody else. Get your game under control. He knows he's capable. Everybody knows he's capable. His coach knows he's capable. So start being capable, Sam.
And by the way, if you're a buddy of his and you bring it to his attention what's being said about him on social media in a negative way, that's not your job as a buddy. It's probably not a very smart thing to do. All right? Okay, so now let's move on. Let's talk about Jakub Dobeš. Dobeš talked to the media for the first time since he obviously got very emotional in New Jersey. And I think we have 3 tweets regarding Jakub Dobeš. Okay. I'm naturally more of an emotional guy than others, but honestly, we're all good in the locker room. We had a lot of fun with it. The guys had a lot of fun with it, so there's no problem whatsoever. Next. The Devils beat me last year, and I promised myself it wasn't going to happen again, and it kind of happened the same way it did last year. Should have probably took a couple of more minutes to myself. Everything was kind of quick, and it just happened. Finally, lastly, is there another one? Probably no. Okay, no, there's not. So that's it. Jakub Dobeš says that he probably should have taken a couple more minutes. Craig, your thoughts on a very emotional Jakub Dobeš last week?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jakub is very, very upfront. It's raw emotion after a game. I'm not so sure he wasn't disappointed still about the Michigan football team beating Ohio State last year in the big game. You know, he's an Ohio State Buckeye, so he might have been disappointed that the Buckeyes haven't beat Michigan Wolverines in a long time in that football game. All kidding aside. Hey, you know what? You get to a point and you wear your emotions on your sleeve. You know, you love that about Jakub. He's got high expectations of himself. He has a high standard. And I think the biggest thing is you just got to keep reminding him, hey, you know what? We're part of a team here. You do what you have to do to be the best you can be, and you don't have to take unnecessary blame. If you feel there's a part of it that you feel you have to take responsibility, then do that, but not unnecessary blame. And I think he took a lot of unnecessary blame and put it on himself. That's part of maturing. That's part of understanding. The great Ken Dryden would talk about times when he doubted himself. Now, I think that happens to everybody in life. It happens to people that are in the public spotlight, that are performing in front of thousands of people and are playing at the highest level of competition. So it's about how you manage it, and it's how people around him help him manage it and help him deal with it. But Jakub Dobeš is somebody that cares. Jakub Dobeš is somebody that's competent and capable. And right now, Jakub Dobeš is a guy the Montreal Canadiens are incredibly reliant upon to continue on their winning ways. As we pointed out earlier, where Sam has to find his game and get back to the level that he's capable of.
Craig, in ending, near the end of period number 2, Marty St. Louis took Juraj Slafkovsky off of the line with Suzuki and Caufield and put Ivan Demidov there. He did the same thing in period number 3. I believe they had another 3 shifts together. Clearly, he was looking for a reaction, but earlier today at practice, Slafkovsky was back on a line with Caufield. Nick Suzuki wasn't there. He was watching, but he had a therapy day. But Your thoughts on Slafkowski, who sometimes, Craig, just gets away from his game and tries to play a skilled game instead of the game that probably got him here?
Yeah, I think, we're still talking about a 21-year-old person and learning. And I've said this previously when we've discussed Uri. When he starts to try to be that finesse skilled guy and he puts it ahead of his power game, it doesn't work. His skill follows the power part of the game, using his size, imposing himself, and everything goes. And I think that, as we started out this conversation and just following up on what you said, 16 of the 18 skaters were just not at the level that they're capable of, Uri included. Marty's trying to find some spark in the course of the game. Marty can't stand behind the bench and go, I'll throw up my arms. It doesn't matter, whatever. It's one of those nights wherever we go. He was trying to find a fix, but he knows how good Uri has been with Nick and Cole. And certainly I don't expect that to change just based on one subpar performance.
Craig Bunn, thank you very much. Fantastic. As always, so happy to have you as a collaborator with us every Wednesday night right here on the Sick Podcast in English, weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for doing this, Craig. We'll talk to you soon.
Back at you.
I love this guy. Craig Bunn from TSN, their hockey analyst and their director of scouting. There's a fundraiser that I want to, if we can just bring up the flyer for the fundraiser, I'll give it a mention. We'll keep this here, okay? It's Accent and Rad. It's a Barks and Bubbly fundraiser event, and it takes place on Friday, November 21st at 7 p.m. at Club Atwater on Atwater Street. Tickets are on sale. I'm going to talk to you about this event very, very briefly, if I can, and I can tell you that this charity event, it's a cocktail-style evening on November 21st, once again at the Atwater Club from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., raising funds to help dogs rescued from shelters and given a second chance at life. Isn't this amazing? Guests can expect amazing music and delicious food, an open bar all night, fun interactive stations, including custom dog portraits, engraved merch, and friendship bracelets. Incredible raffle prizes, amazing sponsors supporting the cause. You can get a tax receipt. Your ticket is $100. You can buy your tickets online, and you can also check it out, the poster for the event in the next story that you can see from them. It's going to be a fun night, an amazing night, and they're going to share it with the community. So once again, take a look at it. Accent at Rad. It's a Barks and Bubbly fundraiser event, and it's at Club Atwater on Friday, November the 21st at 7 p.m. And one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Elena Kratsios, is actually behind this event and one of the founders and one of the organizers. She does an amazing job with it. I was at the event last year. I will be back at the event again this year on Friday, November 21st. Anyone who has an event, in support of rescued dogs and from shelters and stuff like that, you know what? They have my respect. It's a beautiful event. Thank you, Elena, for that, and we'll continue to spread the word. Okay, let's go to Pierre LeBrun.
Pierre LeBrun, presented by Cafe Milano, because winning tastes better.
Oh, yeah, and Pierre LeBrun is brought to you by Cafe Milano. There's no doubt about it, and we want to thank Pierre LeBrun for being our collaborator. Of course, every Wednesday right here, sports commentary doesn't stop at the buzzer, and neither does Cafe Milano, a true community cornerstone in St. Leonard with buzzing spots in Laval and Pointe Claire. They're serving up banger sandwiches, my personal favorite being the sausage sandwich, with spicy marinated eggplants, vibrant salads bursting with flavor, and lattes and espressos that keep the energy high through overtime. Throw in a cannoli or two, and every bite is a highlight. Join the locals at Cafe Milano and turn every meal. Thank you so much to Cafe Milano. Pierre LeBrun, again with your Expos cap. That's amazing. How are you?
That's just because my hair is really bad right now. What's left of my hair, Tony. So, bonjour à toi, Tony.
Yeah, bonjour, Pierre. This is what I do to get the hair alive again. A little bit of water, just like that. And if your hair is thinning, because I have some thinning hair in the back, I want you to check out lasercap.com. It's a red light cap, and I'm telling you, it works wonders. 30 minutes per day. It's the best one on the market right now. Okay.
I did not see that coming. You're a man full of surprises.
I have my hair thinning in the back, and I do 30 minutes a day of lasercap.com, the HD model, laser HD model. All right, okay. You were on RDS yesterday, and of course, I'm sure you saw this on social media. What your comments went a long ways. There was a big topic of discussion yesterday here in La Belle Province, and even today. And you were asked about Cole Caufield and the prospect of being on Team USA at the Olympics. Let's listen in very carefully to that clip.
Je te dirais que la réponse, malheureusement, des partisans des Canadiens, c'est oui, c'est possible que même avec le début de saison incroyable de Cole Caufield, présentement, je te dirais, selon mes informations, Cole Caufield, si l'équipe américaine serait annoncée aujourd'hui, Alex, Cole Caufield ne ferait pas partie de ça. Il est proche. Il est absolument sur la liste de l'équipe américaine. Il est dans les conversations de Bill Guérin et tous ses adjoints. Mais je pense que ce que je comprends, qu'est-ce qui se passe avec les dirigeants de l'équipe américaine, c'est que quand ils voient Cole Caufield, ils se demandent où qu'on va le mettre dans notre formation. Parce que présentement, toutes les 6 jobs dans le top 6 de l'équipe américaine sont prises. Alors, où qu'il pourrait jouer dans la 3e ou la 4e ligne, quel genre de rôle, etc. Puis je pense que c'est là que l'équipe américaine, je crois, pense qu'on a de la misère à trouver un rôle pour Cole Caufield.
Translation, what you said was, you said as of yesterday's date, that your understanding is that Cole Caufield obviously has been in discussions. He's very close, but if Team USA was named yesterday, he would not be on the team. And one of the big topics of discussion regarding Cole Caufield is which line do you put him on exactly and who do you play him with? And Pierre, I understand everything you're saying, and I'm nobody. And yes, you know, we're here in Montreal, and so it's a big topic of discussion. But if I were in that war room with those gentlemen when that conversation took place, I would just simply say this and say, gentlemen, we lost the Four Nations tourney by 1 goal. We lost in overtime. Cole Caufield could have been the guy who could have scored that goal. Maybe the game doesn't make it to overtime because Cole Caufield could have been the guy to score the game-winning goal before it got to overtime. When some players shoot, it doesn't go in. When a guy like Caufield shoots, it tends to go in when it wouldn't go in for other players. We've seen so many overtime winners this year with the Canadiens, and I get it, overtime is 3-on-3 and all that stuff. But I would say here's a guy who keeps on scoring more and more goals every year. He had a career high last year of 37. He's on pace to hit 60 this year. He probably won't do that, but he might challenge for the Rocket Richard. He might be a 50-goal scorer at the end of the year. If scoring goals, Pierre LeBrun, is the hardest thing in hockey, how could Team USA deprive themselves of a scorer who probably has 50 goals in him, if not this year, somewhere in the very near future?
Yeah, I know. It's a very interesting discussion. Again, that's not my opinion. I hope that's clear. I also gave a version of that in English on Insider Trading on TSN. So I guess I riled up Habs fans in both official languages yesterday. But it's not my opinion. I'm just passing on the obviously information that I gathered. And again, let me stress what I said in both French and English, that it's not over yet, that he could still make it. I'm just telling you that at this juncture, and Team USA met also this week in Toronto as it's in Canada, that he's just outside their starting 25, which could change. But again, it's like I said, I think they're stumbling over where does he fit if he's not in our top 6. And you know, Team USA is interesting that way. First of all, it's a testimony to how far USA Hockey has come that they can even have that discussion. I mean, it's unbelievable. Some of the players that won't make that team, they're right there now with Team Canada. With, like, you know, the Team Canada debate all week has been, is Canada really not going to take Connor Bedard? Maybe, we'll see. So it's crazy, the debates. But, you know, you said Team USA could have used Cole Caufield in a game like that they lost in overtime in Boston in February. I agree. You know who else they could have used? The guy that they actually had and put in the press box that night, Kyle Connor. So it's interesting to me. I'm not criticizing Mike Sullivan, the head coach of Team USA, but I was mystified that Kyle Connor, who's on their team, didn't dress that night in a championship game. I know why he didn't. Team USA felt he had a really lousy tournament, which in some respects, I think they're right. He did. But when you're Kyle Connor, all you need is one good shift, one look, and that could have won the Four Nations for Team USA. I'm just saying, if that's how they felt about Kyle Connor at that moment, Kyle Connor, who's a very established star player, right? You'd agree, Tony, in this league.
No doubt.
Then it gives you a bit of it's not just about scoring for Team USA. They're really, really focused. Bill Guerin is, when you talk just generally, he never gets into names, but generally about what they're trying to do, about roles and guys that can do different things. And I know in their bottom six, they want guys who can kill penalties and be physical and block shots.
That was my next question. So based on what you were saying, it was obvious if they said that they don't think he can crack their top six, and if he's not in their top six, where is he going to be? At that point, it tells you everything you need to know. They're basing their team on the first two lines are offensive lines. Your third line is probably a shutdown line. Your fourth line is probably a hard-hitting, forechecking line, aggressive line, energy line type of thing. That's probably the way they want to make up their team.
Yeah, and again, it's as I said, and people tend to hear just the negative stuff resonates more with people than But what Cole Caufield has done though since the start of the season is force his name way more often in those conversations than he was entering the season. Like, they have had to pay attention. So it's not over. But my comment was, if the team was announced yesterday. Yeah.
Over the past couple of weeks, you and I have discussed, the Canadiens' pursuit of a second line centerman. You said something to me to make me laugh, and you said the Canadiens brass probably got together and they wrote down every single centerman in the face of the earth type of thing, and they probably placed as many calls as they can. Yeah. And so then I started throwing out a few names, and I said, what's the situation like with Tage Thompson? And you said to me something to the effect of, Tony, I cannot see Kevin Adams trading Tage Thompson. There was an article that I saw earlier today on social media, courtesy of RG Media, saying that the Canadiens called on Tage Thompson, and the Buffalo Sabres reportedly said he's not available at this time. I know you said a couple of weeks ago you couldn't see it happening. You take a look at the Buffalo Sabres. Obviously, their shortcomings, they've happened a long time. I'm not saying it's because of Tage Thompson. Can they go yet in another rebuild? Can they change direction again? Can they try and get younger? Can they try and maybe trade away some of their players and try to add as many young prospects as possible to try and do this all over again and hopefully get it right this time?
I don't see it with Kevin Adams as GM. And I guess what I'm saying to you is, over the years, whenever a team has been in this kind of situation, although being out of the playoffs 14 straight years is pretty much like nothing we've ever seen, but when you're a GM of a team that is struggled to get over the hump like they have and has been at it a while, and you've been at it a while as GM, I think it's year 5 or 6 for Kevin Adams, the last thing you want to do is try to pivot and go younger, because all you're doing is setting up the team where the next guy was taking your job. I'm just being honest. I mean, that's the reality of what goes through a GM's mind. And I'm not suggesting, by the way, that Kevin Adams is under fire. He seems to have a really good relationship with his owner, Terry Pegula. But if they're not competitive enough this year, who knows, right? I mean, all bets are off. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Even getting back to Tage Thompson, what would incentivize Kevin Adams with the pressure he's under to trade that player, knowing that regardless of what that trade looks like, he's losing the trade in the short term? There's no way he can win the trade.
Yeah.
And it might be a great big picture deal down the road, depending on what the pieces turn into. But,
correct, for the next GM, not for him. He won't be there to enjoy it.
So again, that's more of a generic answer than a Buffalo specific one, but it fits into what I've seen over the years. I mean, why would you want to trade Tage Thompson if you're Buffalo? It makes no sense right now when you're trying to finally get over the hump here this year.
A lot has happened over the past couple of days. Of course, it was the induction of the Hockey Hall of Fame. We want to congratulate once again our colleague with RDS, François Gagnon, for very deservingly receiving the award that he did.
I was at his luncheon. He gave a great speech, Tony. I got to say, what a speech by François. It was really moving. And it was one of the best speeches. I've been fortunate to go to the Media Hockey Hall of Fame luncheon for about 30 years. And I would say that's top 5 in all those years of the Elmer Ferguson Award winner giving a speech.
Oh, wow. That's amazing stuff. Fantastic. Board of Governors meeting. There's so much to talk about. What is some of the information you've been able to gather around the league, Pierre?
Yeah, GM meetings. Although
GM
people
meetings,
do
pardon
that
me,
all the time for GM. Well, I mean, some GMs go to both, so it's easy to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that quick one-day GM meetings. Went from 9 to 12 yesterday. So literally, with the quickest one they have over the course of the year. The big ones they have are over 3 days in March, which I really like going to. Tony, they're in Florida.
Well, because they're in Florida. Yes, of course. Yeah, you bring your golf clubs.
Well, this was at a downtown hotel here in Toronto yesterday, and there wasn't a lot of headline making material in the agenda. I would probably say the two newsiest items for me. The first is, again, Gary Bettman and Bill Daly expressing their alarm and concern about the slow state of construction for the arena in Milan for the Olympics, so much so that they announced to us yesterday that they're sending 2 of their staffers to go inspect the rink next week in Milan firsthand. That's the level of concern that the NHL has with it. I'd say the second item, which I think is really timely given everything that's happening right now in pro sports with the gambling scandals all over the place, is that Jared Maples, who's the NHL chief security officer, not a name that a lot of people would know probably, but he addressed GMs about reinforcing the clarity of the rules regarding injury information and who you're giving that to, and the do's and the don'ts. And, I had a GM tell me after the GM's meeting, Tony, that he had everyone's attention. Like, you see what's going on in the other leagues and even in the NHL with the Galiev thing in Ottawa. Everyone is on guard here right now for, understanding what's at play here. So that was interesting because, we're in a new world now with all this.
Yeah. No doubt about it. NHL to open up an office in Zurich, Switzerland.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that? What's going on?
Yeah. So, I think the league for a long time has wanted to, expand a bigger footprint in Europe. They've been having games like they're about to have here again, regular season games overseas. Obviously, the NHL has always spoken about the fact that it recognizes how international its player pool is compared to a lot of sports. And I think they just continue to try to find ways to connect with that. They're back in the Olympics finally, and they plan to be in the Olympics now on a permanent way for a long time. They're bringing back the World Cup of Hockey. So having a more day-to-day presence in Europe was important for the league, and just in terms of staying more on top of things and having dealings that are more, face to face than living through your phone and trying to do all that. So we'll see what comes out of having an office in Zurich, but I think it just goes to tell you that, the World Cup of Hockey really matters a lot to the NHL and the NHLPA, even though I know some fans kind of roll their eyes. Most fans just care about the Olympics, but the World Cup's coming back in February 28. And finally, after all these years of coming and then disappearing and coming and disappearing, the NHL has told us that they plan on having a regular World Cup right in between the Olympics all the time now from here on in.
As much as Matvei Michkov had a very productive rookie season last year, even last year when John Tortorella was coaching that team, there were nights where he was in the doghouse. There were nights where he was benched. There were nights where his ice time was very, very, very low. He's got off to a very, very difficult start this season. He admitted to pretty much taking the entire summer off, 4 months where he really didn't do anything. He admitted to showing up in camp in not very good shape, which would explain his really slow start to the season. Last week, there was a game in Philadelphia versus the Senators where Michkov scored a goal. They're in overtime. It's 2-2. He grabs the puck in his zone. He tries to skate through everyone, take it into the offensive zone, precipitated by Sean Couturier, who was offside. They both go to the bench. They're not sitting next to each other. The camera zooms in on Couturier. It doesn't look like he's a happy guy. In the locker room at the end of the game, he's very diplomatic, but he basically says something to the effect of, you know what? You're not going to score goals all the time. And when you're not, you got to do other things to be able to help the team. I think he's trying to find this game. I think it's been better lately, but everyone's got to read on what Sean Couturier had to say. Some thought it was, I, for one, thought that it was a very diplomatic way of saying this guy's a one-dimensional hockey player and he better clean up his game and clean up his act, because it's just we're not going to stand for it if it goes on for a very long time. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I had Danny Briere on my show
Mm-hmm.
in French about a week ago, and Danny was also very diplomatic, but he was like, look, we're not going to ask Matvei Michkov, and Danny joined me before this whole Michkov thing happened, but he said, look, we're not going to ask Michkov to become a defensive hockey player. We're going to ask him to do certain things, but can he meet us halfway?
Right.
And I that said a lot to me, what he said and the way he said it.
Yeah, and I do think his game is actually coming, and I've been paying attention to it as well because I made a few inquiries, and I realized that the disappointment was pretty real from management and from head coach Rick Tocchet, that he basically showed up to camp, not in the shape that you need to be. Taking the summer off is okay if you're me. It's not okay if you're an NHL player. So, so right from the get-go, I think there's disappointment. I will say that he's hardly the first second-year player in NHL history to have kind of fallen in love with the lifestyle there and forgetting the kind of work that it takes to get ready for an NHL season. There's been lots of other examples, so he's just another one. But the Flyers certainly hope that he's learned from it, because going back to Couturier, I don't know exactly where Sean's mind is and all that, but I can only assume that not being ready for the season would have rubbed some guys the wrong way in that room, because of how important he is to their success when he's playing well. And I will say this too, though, some of the Flyers told me that, he's had to work extra with the assistant coaches to sort of ramp up and get back to where he needs to be. And he's done that. And he's done that without complaining. He's done that wanting to do that. And so that's his way of, trying to get from behind the eight ball. So I suspect we're actually going to be talking about him again at some point in a month or two. Tony's saying that he's lighting it up.
Yeah.
Given his talent, but great learning lesson. And for any young player, that the work only gets harder after year one. Right. It's not a time to, just sit back and enjoy what you did the first year.
Pierre, two quick questions on the Canadiens before we let you go, and we so value your time. It's funny because the Canadiens took on the Los Angeles Kings last night and obviously lost by a score of 5-1. And it was at around, it was about 36 hours ago. I was doing my French show and I was saying, if Hockey Canada is looking for a right-handed defenseman, we know that big right-handed defensemen are rare, and the Canadiens have a Noah Dobson who'll turn 26 in a couple of months, who's about 6'4", right-handed shot, has been on the Montreal Canadiens first pairing. His numbers are very good. He's been very, very stable, very, very solid, very, very reliable. And Hockey Canada has traditionally had a Drew Doughty who, as unbelievable as he's been, will turn 36 next month. Is there any chance that they might look at Noah Dobson? But I don't know if they would have or they won't. But Drew Doughty played 21 and a half minutes yesterday. He was really, really good.
Yeah. Here's what I'd say. I kind of addressed all that in a piece I wrote Monday with Chris Johnson. We broke down the whole Canadian roster and where we think the bubble wars are happening and so on. And both Doughty and Dobson were in that piece, in the sense that we believe Dobson's stock has risen since the start of the year in the eyes of Team Canada. Where that ultimately gets him, still to be determined. But what we also mentioned is that, and we put Doughty in the same section of the article as Brad Marchand, two of the oldest players trying to make the Olympic team. Inside Team Canada, they value Doughty and Marchand way more than the outside world. And part of that, as it was explained to me, was that they felt it was invaluable what happened at Four Nations, that the two loudest voices in the room from the get-go that made everyone feel welcome and everyone feel like they wanted to go to war for Canada was Brad Marchand and Drew Doughty. That without those two voices, that could have been a different event for Team Canada. Obviously, Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest captains in NHL history, but he's certainly, follow my lead, boys, right?
Yeah.
Marchand and Doughty had huge voices. Now, you don't make an Olympic team just because you're a great leader. You have to, your play on the ice has to match. Your play on the ice has to warrant your inclusion. But Marchand, obviously, he's playing great. He leads the Panthers in scoring. He had a great playoff, so he's fine in that way. I would say with Doughty, it's a worthy question that you have. I mean, he's getting up there. But I think, Team Canada is watching him closely, and I think they like what they see. And I'm not announcing he's for sure going to make it, but I'm going to tell you that I think he has a better chance than the outside world thinks he has. And by the way, I was checking the other day. He leads the Kings in ice time by more than 4 minutes a game to the next guy on that list.
He's a phenom.
So
he's a phenom. He's a phenom.
Yeah.
You're not drafted second overall for nothing, eh?
And listen, having said all that too, when I look at the 3 positional breakdowns, because I spent a lot of time on this for that piece we ran Monday, it's apparent to me from what I'm being told, and that the Four Nations blue line core is probably the one that has the best chance of being almost the same. It won't be quite the same, I'm sure, but they used 8 defensemen in Four Nations because Shea Theodore got hurt in the first game, and then Thomas Harley was flown in. Thomas Harley was unreal. I think Harley's a lock, but
Harley's a lock. He was. I thought he was their best defenseman when he arrived last. He thought he was unbelievable.
Yeah, and my point is that most of us, like everyone else, we're seeing a lot of different mock Team Canada. It's fun. That's the great thing about the Olympics. Everyone has their fun with the way they would do the 25-man roster. Most people start with a blank canvas and look at who's playing well this year, and they come up with that's not what Team Canada is doing. They're paying attention to this year for sure, but what they actually did, and Team USA did the same thing. They took the Four Nations roster and they put the Four Nations roster on a wall, and they said, who can we possibly take off that deserves to come off? That's different philosophically than let's start from scratch, because that was best on best. And the guys that played well at Four Nations, fair or unfairly, have an inside edge now because they've proven after all these years without best on best hockey that they could deliver.
I can't wait to see how. I can't wait to see how it all shapes up here, because if it isn't for Jordan Binnington, they don't win that final game.
Well, they're outplayed in overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, they're outplayed, no chance in overtime. Jordan Binnington stood on his head. There's no question about it. But for me, it's less having to do with the holes in Canada's roster than to do that USA Hockey is more than ever has arrived.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
I mean,
there's no doubt about it. Pierre, in ending, we've talked about the Canadiens in the pursuit of a number 2 centerman, of course. But after losing last night, one of the topics here in Montreal, of course, is maybe try to get heavier, try and get nastier, try and add some size to the lineup. I think previous years has shown us, though, Pierre, any trades usually don't take place in November, huh?
I mean, it's rare, and it's not because teams don't want to. Like I saw a number of GMs yesterday after the meeting ended sort of go somewhere alone and pairings and have a little chat. So that was happening just like the old days, GMs getting together, and who knows what they were talking about. Maybe they were making dinner reservations, but
I know they're starting a conversation that's going to go somewhere at some point. Yeah, of course.
You plant a lot of seeds now, but the reason there have been so few trades at this time of year, although it's funny, Joe Thornton went into the Hall of Fame Monday night, and he was traded in I think, was it December 4th or November or December? Maybe it was November. Anyway, early in the year back then. But it's a cap. It's a cap system that makes it so hard because, as everyone knows by now, after all these years of being in the cap system, the closer you get to March 6th, the smaller the cap hit that you take on. But on top of that, this year there's a playoff cap where it's the full cap hit that will count on your active roster come playoff time. And by the way, keep an eye on that conversation. I was talking to Bill Daly about it after the meetings yesterday, and they're still playing around with some of the language about what time in the day a team has to submit their playoff game roster. Right now it says 3 p.m. in the new CBA, but there may have to be some allowances for, injuries and illness happen late in the day.
Yeah.
That whole thing, I'm telling you right now, remember I said this on your show, Tony, the whole playoff cap and game day roster is going to be a big story come playoff time. Watch out.
It's noted. Pierre LeBrun, fantastic as always. What an addition to the Sick Podcast. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep on telling you until the end of the year, and hopefully we can sign you to a 5-year contract. Thank you, Pierre.
All right. Send me some of that spray for my hair.
All right. I definitely will. There you have it. Pierre LeBrun, of course, of TSN, their insider, and also with The Athletic. Want to thank once again all of our sponsors, including Cafe Milano that brings you Pierre LeBrun. Also want to thank Souvlaki Authentique that brings you Craig Button. The contest that we have going on right now with Point S and GT Radio. Check out on our Instagram page of the Sick Podcast and Point S. It's a total value of $1,000 for 4 winter tires. GT Radio winter tires plus installation. Want to thank Betway, as well as Bittt Tibi, as well as Playground, and as well as Energy Transportation Group. Once again, there's a fundraiser that's very close to my heart because one of my good friends is behind it. And if we can bring it up on Friday, November the 21st, if we can just bring up the flyer one more time, Accent and Rad, it's a Barks and Bubbly fundraiser event, Friday, November 21st at Club Atwater, at the 3505 Atwater Avenue. And once again, for all the information and for tickets, what you can do is you can check out, of course, the flyer, and you can get a hold of them. It's going to be at Club Atwater on Friday, November 21st. For the Cavalleros at Master Control and all of you watching, I hope you enjoyed the Sick Podcast. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place at 10 p.m. Eastern, right after the Canadiens and the Dallas Stars. Once again, it's going to be Jakub Dobeš, who's going to be the Montreal Canadiens starting goaltender. I hope to have you all then tomorrow night with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. We're going to be on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. Tell all your family and friends. And I hope you can watch me in French because I go Monday to Friday at 10h le matin en français aussi with a different set of collaborators. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBie.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.